What's up guys, my name is Darren Jackson. Welcome to the channel, and I want to try this again. So what I mean by that is last week I made a video about a merger between Torchlight Energy Reserve and Metamaterials, and there's a lot of information that I did not add that could have helped supported the argument of maybe this is something beneficial to invest in or at least look at. And there was some information that I probably could have corrected myself on, did some additional research. So that's the purpose of this video. But with all that being said, I do appreciate all you guys that watched that last video, from the compliments to even the criticism. This is a small channel, so I have to grow in any way, shape, or form. So I do appreciate all that. But with that being said, in this video, we're gonna recap exactly what this merger is all about, what Torchlight Energy Reserve is and what they have to bring to the table, what Metamaterials is and what they have to bring to the table, why these companies are merging, and we're gonna try to answer some pretty common questions that have been asked from my comment space on my YouTube channel and just all over, including how much money are we gonna receive after this merger? If you don't quite understand that question, just stay tuned and watch the video and let's get started. So just to backtrack, on December 14th, Torchlight Energy Reserve announced that they'll be having a reverse merger with Metamaterials. And the merger voting should be taking place, I believe, in a little over a week from now on March 12th. At this very point, there's about 48% of voters that are for the merger. So it looks like we're heading in the direction of a merger occurring hopefully by March 13th, or at least the soonest weekday after the voting day on March 12th. Now, to talk more about the merger, we obviously need to recap what these two companies are all about. So starting with Torchlight Energy Reserve. Torchlight is in the oil and gas sector. The basic definition for Torchlight is that they're in the business of developing, acquiring, exploring, and exploiting oil and gas properties. That's pretty much what they're all about. And they currently have 3 different projects that they're on, including the Oro Grande Basin, the Midland Basin, the Delaware Basin, which I believe are all in the Permian Basin. I believe that's what you call it in Texas. That's what they're doing right now. But that's really important. Just keep all that in mind, the current projects that they have, because we're gonna go back to those later on. Now, the company they're gonna be merging with is a company called Metamaterials, whose mission is completely different. They are in the energy sector, basically. And what they do is they create these different things, from films to other things, using these nanomaterials that can manipulate energy and light and other aspects, and they call those materials metamaterials. And they're used in multiple applications, from chemicals to the medical field to aerospace, specifically airplanes, automobiles, wearables, etc., etc. So they have their hand in multiple cookie jars, and being in the energy sector, that's seemingly a good thing. And these two companies will ultimately, if everything goes well, merge by March 13th, or like I said, the nearest weekday from the voting period of March 12th. So when I first read upon this merger and I looked up what these two companies are all about, what they bring to the table, I was really confused. Now, if you've been following my channel over the course of a couple of months, I've been on this phase where I've been talking about SPACs, or companies that enter the stock market with the purpose of acquiring another company within a specific category. But that's the thing, it's within a specific category. They share an equal interest. They're kind of in the same sector already. These companies are not, but at the same time, there's something that each company is seeking that the other company can help with. For Torchlight, for example, they have these assets with the projects that they're on, the equipment, etc., that they have worth, but overall, they want their company to go into a different direction. There's a lot of companies right now that are more environmentally friendly. There's a bit of governance when it comes to building things and manufacturing things, keeping the CO2 emissions in mind and all that good stuff. And there have been a lot of companies in the oil and gas sector that are working on being more innovative so they can join this party of saving the earth, basically, but still maintain their company structure. Torchlight essentially just wants to dismantle that and take those funds and put it towards a company that they believe in, that they believe is going into the right direction with energy and renewable resources. So that's what they want to do. Metamaterials, on the other hand, the company that would be absorbing all that, it seems like they just want money, and they want money, which is fine. So they would be taking money from Torchlight to help fund their projects that they're currently doing, because they're currently in the research and development phase. And also, they are a Canadian-based stock. Now, I said in my last video that I was able to find ticker symbol MMATF, which is Metamaterial right now, and it's Canadian-based, but I was able to find it on Fidelity, but they're not getting a lot of exposure. The one sector or the index that they would get some exposure on a lot more is NASDAQ. Now, NASDAQ, I believe, tracks the top popular and tradable stocks, and that list from top to bottom consists of Apple and Tesla and Amazon, Google, Facebook, Nvidia. And what do they all have in common? They're all energy sector or tech sector. So energy sector or renewable energy like Tesla, I guess, but mostly technology. So they kind of fall in that same plane or same sector, because this is also a heavily technological company, especially with the applications that they're applying their nanomaterials and all the other stuff with. So being applied to the NASDAQ would be very beneficial for them, but there's some requirements that they have to meet. Basically, them being acquired in a reverse merger by Torchlight with all those funds would help them do that. So that's what they want to do. So now that we have more of an understanding on what these two companies are, when they're merging and why they're merging, this is where it seems like a lot of the really big questions are being constantly asked, and it has a lot to do with money, which is super important. So let's start off with the basic details of the merger. So like I said, the merger is supposed to be taking place on March 13th. The vote's going to be taking place on March 12th. So as soon as that happens, the following business day where the market opens, the ticker symbol should go to META after Torchlight and Metamaterial, which currently is MMATF, combined in a reverse merger. And Torchlight has been donating money to Metamaterial to help them with their research and development phase soon after they deemed themselves debt-free, which was one of the requirements of this reverse merger that they set upon themselves, which is great. Now, typically when there's a reverse merger, the shareholders of those stocks, they're gonna experience some slight change as far as ownership of that equity. And that is no different from this merger. If you're currently a shareholder of the Canadian-based ticker symbol MMATF for Metamaterial, then you will be receiving 75% of the equity value of the entire company upon merger, post-merger. And if you are a Torchlight Energy RESOURCE shareholder, ticker symbol TRCH, you're gonna receive 25% of the equity. And that's big question number one before we get into the additional details of what you're gonna receive for Torchlight. The question number one was, what does that mean? I think that's the universal question. What does that really mean? First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone yet again who commented on that previous video and who motivated me to do the additional research and the additional due diligence I honestly should have done in the first place. And it helped me not necessarily get what was probably known as the exact answer, but it helped out a lot. A lot of conversations I had with you guys inspired the answer that I currently have today that may be correct. Ultimately, we're just gonna have to wait and figure out post-merger. But it's gonna be really beneficial for both parties. I doubt they're gonna let us lose money in this process, because then they won't be gaining money from us because we're gonna be selling our shares and taking our profits, if anything, before things get worse. This is what I think it means. So let's say that you currently have 100 shares of Torchlight right now, ticker symbol TRCH. The merger has not happened yet. But you are aware that after the merger happens, your shares of Torchlight or Torchlight shareholders will own 25% of the equity value of the combined company with the new ticker symbol META. So what I think that means is that you're gonna be experiencing a 4-to-1 reverse split. So when I say reverse split, think about the split that Apple and Tesla had. Apple, for example, did a 4-to-1 stock split or 1-to-4 stock split, depends on how you want to look at it. Basically saying that for every 1 share of Apple that you had, you will now have 4 shares of Apple. They did that just to make the share price look more attractive, which it did. This is a little different scenario. So this would be the opposite. Again, this is my opinion on it. Please leave your comments below on what you think of my opinion and what your opinion actually is. We gotta definitely communicate. But my opinion is, if you have 100 shares of Torchlight at this very moment, post-merger, your 100 shares would convert into 25 shares of Meta. So for every 4 shares you have, they will pretty much be taken away and then given back to you 1 share of Meta. So your 100 shares will turn into 25. On Metamaterials' hand, let's say you have 100 shares of Metamaterial, Canadian based, ticker symbol MMATF at that very moment. What I believe is going to happen is post merger, for every 1 share of that you have, you will receive 3 shares of Metamaterial. It's kind of like this pie that's split up into 4 quadrants. Torchlight gets a quarter of the pie, or 1/4 of it, and Metamaterial with ticker symbol MMATF gets the other 3. That's what I think is going to happen. So I guess it's seemingly beneficial on Metamaterial's hand because you have more shares in the company, which the biggest benefit I can think of off the top of my head is your voter opportunity, because as long as META post-merger is a Class A share or a Class A stock, which I believe it is, one of the benefits you have as a Class A shareholder is your voting rights. And typically your voting rights go up the more shares you have. So that's one benefit that I can think of. But for Torchlight, there is an additional thing that's gonna happen. So what's supposedly going to happen is that, and again, this is what I believe as far as the specific numbers, for every share of Torchlight Energy Reserve stock that you had prior to the merger, you're gonna be receiving 1 preferred stock dividend. So in this example, you had 100 shares. So that means you'll get 25 shares of Meta, so you'll have a total of 25 shares, ticker symbol META. But then you'll also receive 100 shares of preferred stock dividend. Now remember when I said that Torchlight Energy Reserve has projects, and I said I'm gonna mention it later? Well, congratulations, this is later. Hopefully you stuck around for the video. But anyway, like I said, they have 3 different projects within the Permian Basin. That means there's land that they currently are owning, maybe not necessarily owning, but has a lot of value. We're just gonna say they own it. And if you add up the land that they own within the 3 different projects, it's equivalent to about 147,000 acres. From the research that I saw, the Permian Basin is very, very valuable. And I read an article that said that as of 2017, that each acre could be deemingly worth $60,000, which is kind of insane, but I guess if you're drilling for oil, maybe not. Now let's just assume that that's true. You have 147,000 acres, each worth about $60,000. If my math is correct, and please tell me if I'm wrong, that's a valuation of a little over $8 billion. That's how much land they have when they sell it as part of their assets. That's not even including the equipment and all that other stuff. So let's just say it's an $8 billion asset. That's what we need. So that's why I said at the beginning of the video, there were some things that I mistakenly said. I said that Metamaterial deemed that Torchlight's resources were worthless. I guess what's better to say is that Metamaterial has no use for their equipment, probably even for their land. They just want the money. And that is valuable. We hope as shareholders that their assets are valuable, not worthless. Not what I said in the previous video, at least that's what I think I said. Those assets, the value that they get for those assets, it's what's going to generate that preferred share dividend that we get, which if that's correct, I'm hearing numbers that we could receive anywhere between $1 and $5 per share that you own a Torchlight, based off my assumption of how many preferred share dividends you're gonna receive. I'm even hearing double-digit numbers like $20 a share. I think that's the one question that at this point, nobody knows. We're just gonna have to find out post-merger. And obviously nobody knows it because we don't know how much they are valued at. Because even though back in 2017, there may be some exact value about how much each acre is at that point, Torchlight has a period of time that they need to sell all their assets by. So would they sell them at a discount to hurry up and get the sale done so they can take those funds to Metamaterials and pay off their shareholders so we can keep investing into them, thus making them more money? Probably. I know that was a really long question. So we're just gonna have to wait and see on that. But again, guys, that is my assumption on how the divide is going to happen as far as the reverse split, the 25% going on one side and the 75% on the other. But again, let me know in the comments below what you think. And overall, reanalyzing this entire merger, I think there are 2 reasons why you can be excited. It depends on what type of investor you are in this company. If you are an investor into Torchlight Energy Reserve, you should be excited because if anything, you could potentially be receiving a lot of cash dividends by the end of the year, depending on how much their assets are worth upon selling. And that's kind of a short-term thing. Of course, you can hold on to it longer, which leads into the long-term reason. Metamaterial, I feel like it's in an industry where they can make a lot of change. If I'm correct, Metamaterial may be the only nano composite film type company that's actually in the stock market. That's if I'm correct. So with that being said, there are other companies out there, which I'm sure there are, and they make great news and great headways. They'll typically support the companies that are in the stock market when they shoot up. It's like when other EV companies benefit from anything or give any type of good news, Tesla stock that may have not done anything or released any news at all in the past whatever period of time will go up as well. So that's what I'm excited about. And I also appreciate the applications that they're under, which I did mention in the previous video, how they apply film to their windows for defogging and de-icing, the heads-up display, probably some military defense stuff for the planes, eyeglasses, wear anything that will keep your eyes from straining. Random applications like having a transparent microwave, which is really interesting, but I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. So I'm really excited about that. But again, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And let me know what you guys think about, again, the split, how you think that's gonna work out. How do you feel about Torchlight and their assets? How do you feel about Metamaterial and what they could be in the future? Just let me know how you guys feel. I appreciate the comments and the conversations that we had in the previous video. Hopefully we can continue that in this video. And speaking of videos, make sure you watch some of these other videos, which I hope help you guys out on your investing journey as I have in mine. I appreciate you guys watching once again. And until next time, take care.